Hey, welcome back. I'm Annette Latigue. I am your host here at Coaching You For You, and it's good to see you again. Thanks. I am working on some things, including myself, nothing unusual. And I wanted to be able to share with you tonight some of the things that I've learned, how I learned them, and what they did for me. So here goes. Go get your coffee, juice, water, or tea, and come and hail a little bit of inspiration with me. And as I usually remind you, lemonade, pink lemonade. Don't forget to hydrate. That's important. Sometimes we forget who we are. And, with that, there are times when we will forget how we arrived to some of our destinations and how we got in some of the trouble that we got into. It's not unusual. It happens to the best of us. And, on a regular basis, I have to remind myself that everything I'm experiencing is a journey. It's not a destination. Things are going to happen. People are going to come and go. And we learn. We live and learn. And none of us should ever lose. We should learn. We should always learn. And sometimes in the things that we go through, we forget ourselves. We do. We forget who we are. And I shared about this a little bit before because it's so very important. We forget who we are. We forget what we're made of. And one of the worst things that could ever happen to us is that we forget. Ooh, have mercy. We forget where we come from. Now, some of y'all don't know anything about that. I speak regularly to my very humble beginnings. And not only do I speak to them, but I write about them. Because when I was in grief therapy, one of the things I learned was how important it was to write about, the things I'd experienced and what I was feeling. And that was really, really good for me. It was really good for me because I was able to see the good, bad, and the ugly right in front of my face. And I was telling my story on paper to me. And there are times when I look back and I read it from the very beginning because over the years I've added to it, things I had forgotten and things that I now remember. And it's been an incredible journey for me. And there are times when I have to remind myself of who I am, where I come from, and what I'm made of. I have to remind myself. The other thing I have to remind myself is I don't always have to have this enormous plan to accomplish things. Sometimes I just need to breathe and trust, let go, and watch what happens. Because one of the things I know for sure is something's going to happen. This brain is constantly working and working on ideas and thoughts and opportunity and hope and, all of those different things. And so I had to learn to prioritize me. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people won't understand that. They won't. When you learn to prioritize yourself, a lot of people are going to misunderstand you. They will, especially when they've gotten used to you being the go to person. When you start prioritizing yourself, it's a game changer. You know, um, that you're losing yourself when you're not prioritizing yourself. That's the first indication. I tell you, I promise you, that's been my experience. When I'm not prioritizing Annette, I'm beginning to lose sight and lose focus. And I know that because self care is the first care. And it helps me do a whole lot of other things. Of course, disclaimer, my allergies are killing me tonight. But I was brave enough to sit outside again and chat with some folks for about 10 minutes, and I'm suffering the consequences of it. That's all. I also found that the more I abandoned uh, my social life with family and friends and classified myself as an introvert and a loner, I was losing myself because I don't care how independent we are. And by the way, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being independent. Nothing. It just proves that you're capable of making decisions and rising to the occasion. And a lot of people misunderstand that. You have folks sharing, you know, especially for women, don't be independent. Men see it as a threat. Well, that's their threat, it's not ours. Being independent is a good thing, it's a promising thing because it not only speaks to our experience, strength, and hope, but that we are capable. Don't forget that. That's important. It's okay. Um, I found out after I was widowed, I share about this often, and I don't go into much detail, but enough for you to understand that I was involved in another relationship and I was traumatized in that relationship. And that person became my sole focus. Now, for a lot of reasons, but once anybody becomes your sole focus, you've lost focus and you've started to lose yourself. And in that particular instance and at that particular time, that's exactly what happened. I started to lose myself. I started to lose focus. I didn't think or talk about too much else except that and anything surrounding that. So, I've learned through group sessions with other executives, women executives, black executives, that, you know, when you have a high pressure job, it is particularly important that self care be your priority. It is particularly important that you learn to keep the focus on yourself, and that's not selfish. It just helps you better prepare to focus on and or communicate and deal with others. It's really just that simple. And so often, you know, unintentionally we misunderstand that because we have the disease of please. We want to please others, particularly in our relationships. And that's a good thing where there's good, communication and commitment. You, it's okay to want to please your partner, but when your partner becomes your sole focus, you've lost focus. And so the disease of please can kill all of us. And there'll be people who say, "Oh, I'm not a people pleaser." Say no and let some things happen that aren't so comfortable. And we'll see how much you're into pleasing, especially with your significant other. When you start to replace, and I don't care if you're married, engaged, in love, when you started to replace all of me with we, you've lost focus. And your partner's going to have a problem eventually with a number of things, but particularly you. Yeah. And in marriage, you do become one, but you're still two individuals. And so, in that partnership, you have to have a life of your own. And a great partnership and great marriages is where you have a life of your own and they have a life of their own, and you can come together and share a life. See, that's what partnership is all about. And a lot of people misunderstand that. They think that once they become married or in a committed relationship, that there's no longer a I or me. It's all we. That's not healthy for anybody. And look, don't take my word for it. Look it up. I tell you, do your own homework because I'll certainly do mine. And I would encourage you to do the same. And most of my homework comes from my experience. So there's some things I want to leave you with tonight. The greatest of which is, as usual, self care is the best care. And self care is not selfish, it's sanity. And sometimes in our disease to please, our disease of pleasing, we lose ourselves. When we want to please people on a job, when we want to please our children, when we want to do nothing but please our spouses and our significant others, and they become our sole function and focus, we lose ourselves. That's how we lose ourselves. But one of the things we can do, you know, that worked for me, one of the things we can do is to remember this: manage your own territory first. Yeah, manage your own territory first. I learned that. And when you do that, it makes a big difference. Makes a huge difference when you manage your own territory first. Try it. You like it. It works. Lean into yourself a little bit more. Allergies, thirst. Lean into yourself a little bit more. And I promise you, no matter who you're trying to please, it'll be a pleasure for both of you. If you'll lean into yourself a little bit more, if you'll focus on you and managing you and your territory, because honestly, I've also shared you cannot manage or control other people. You can't. I don't care how much you love them. I don't care how much they love you. You can't manage and control other people. Stop trying. Your life will be so much better. And write your story down or even record it if necessary. And write down all of the good, bad, and ugly. And if you choose to share it with somebody, make sure it's somebody you can trust. Make sure it's somebody you can trust. That's critical to the success of you journaling and writing down your story because it gives you a chance to look at some things and remember some things that you've forgotten. And sometimes, when we're in the midst, excuse me, when we're in the midst of things, we can often forget what our real story was. You ever met people who come from very humble beginnings and they forget about those beginnings and they start talking about all of the great things that happened? See, growing up, and I think I've shared this before early on when I started podcasting, I always knew that my beginnings were humble, even when I was in those beginnings. But I didn't suffer. I didn't suffer because I had people who loved me and believed in me and took care of me and protected me. That's right. I had a mother and a father in the home. I was fortunate with that. And so a lot of things that probably would have made a bigger deal, my eyes are itching, I'm sorry, would have made a bigger deal is didn't because, I had, those fillers, the things to help me and to help me deal with the humble beginnings. Yeah. See, growing up, I thought it was normal that you rotated clothes. I did. I thought it was normal that, for school, you got a pair of bucks, you got a pair of sneakers, and in the summer, you got a pair of flip flops, you got a pair of sneakers, and you had a pair of church shoes always. I thought that was normal. As a direct result of that, though, I do have a shoe fetish. I'm working on it. It's not as bad as it used to be, and I don't have any problem sharing that. It's real. And everybody who knows me know I had a whole storage bin full of just shoes, but I'm better. So in writing, I recognized some of those things and where some of my weaknesses came in and why I did some of the things that I did. I know why I am who I am. I do. And if you don't remember anything else tonight, I want you to remember this. Don't prove yourself to people. Everything you actually do will speak for you. And it's not what you say, it's what you actually do that'll speak for you. Don't try to hang around people who are not doing what you want to do. Don't do it. They'll drag you down. Be with people who are going to lift you up, who are going to pull you up, who are going to believe in you, who are going to trust you. When people run at the least little difficulties, let them run. When people leave, let them go. Letting go is a process in and of itself. But when they go, let them go. Takeaways tonight. Remember, manage your own territory. Take a look at yourself, see who you are, where you come from, and remember it. Don't ever forget where you come from. Ever. Eventually, it'll come up in other ways. I tell people all the time, I've done so much work on myself and I have so much more to do. But one of the things I know is, when I'm around people, I can see things. I can see when they're insecure. And they don't realize it, but their behavior shows it. And the things they talk about. When you hear people running around talking about, oh, you don't need this and you don't need that. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that's for you to determine what you need. I have an education beyond high school and I value it. But I also value the education my dad had through experience that fed us as an electrician. Yeah, that's right. Whatever it is, value you first. There's nothing wrong with having an education, and those who don't have it will try to downplay it, and that's okay too. What they don't understand is those of us with degrees value and some common sense at that. Value those with or without degrees. See, because no matter how many degrees I have, I cannot be an electrician. That's not my lane. And the person who can build a house can't be a doctor. And the person who is an advocate for people are not always prepared to run the country. And understanding and recognizes these things keeps us all humble and in our own lane. See, in my lane, there's no traffic. And usually because I'm on some beaten path, but that's another story for another day. But the point is, value what you have. Whatever you have, wherever you are in life, just value it. Give it some value. Stop forgetting who you are. Stop forgetting where you've been. Stop forgetting where you're going to go. Stop and pay attention to where you are right now in the moment. This moment is the only moment we have. We don't have anything else, so take your time, get it right. Measure two, three, four times if you have to. Get it right. Be a gentle warrior. All battles don't require conflict. They don't. And all disagreements are not about right and wrong. And I'm going to say that forever. They're not. But knowing who I am, where I come from, what it takes for me to grow, the spirit I feed is the one that grows, and to mind my business. Lean into yourself. Write your story down. Manage your own territory. Appreciate what you have. Don't compare yourself to others. And don't try to prove yourself to others because, listen, they don't believe you anyway. I'm telling you, they don't. And the final thing I want to tell you is, the bottom, the bottom is crowded. Get out of there. Elevate. Lift yourself up, boost yourself, hang around people who boost you up. Do that because it matters. It changes the game for you. And the game changing ideas come from here first. It's the spirit you feed that grows. The company you keep matters. And you can always start over. That's always an option for all of us. You can always start over. And don't be afraid to do that. Hang with people who are doing what you need to do. Don't hang with people who drag you down. There are very few people I allow into my inner circle. There are very few people that I allow into the second circle and even the third because I know. The people I surround myself will infiltrate here one way or the other if I spend too much time with them. So I try to spend time with people who are doing what I'm doing. And when I share, I'm sharing my experience, strength, and hope. And I always say, what doesn't apply, let it fly. Go manage your own territory. Okay? Get it done. You're worth it. And remember, who you surround yourself with is important. And make sure that the people you surround yourself with are authentic in the things that they're doing and saying. Watch the footwork. Forget about the words. Words sound good. That's why I always tell you, and I mean this, and I'm not being arrogant and cocky. I don't care what you think of me because what you think of me is your business. It's what I do that matters. And that you won't be able to challenge ever because that's my character. Have a good night. Take care of your character, manage your territory, and stop trying to prove yourself. It's a waste of time. Have a good night. Thank you. I'll see you again soon.